Hello, Year 2. Welcome to Thursday's Reading Skills. Now, today, as I said, is going to be a fluency session. We're just practicing our reading, practicing adding lots of expression in today. So, as always, do pause the screen and have a go at reading it before me first, and then you can read along with me if you like. Or if you have printed off your own copy of the book at home, you can read to the end of chapter 3 now. Okay? The next Sunday, Stanley and Arthur went to the park by themselves. The day was sunny, but windy too, and many older boys were flying beautiful, enormous kites with long tails, made in all colours of the rainbow. Arthur sighed. Someday, he said, I will have a big kite, and I will win a kite flying contest and be famous like everyone else. No one knows who I am these days. Stanley remembered what his parents had said. He went to a boy whose kite was broken and borrowed a large spool of string. You can fly me, Arthur, he said. Come on. He attached the string to himself and gave Arthur the spool to hold. He ran lightly across the grass sideways to get up speed, and then he turned to meet the breeze. Up, 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 up went Stanley, being a kite. He knew just how to manage on the gusts of wind. He faced full into the wind as he wanted to rise, if he wanted to rise, and let it take him from behind when he wanted speed. He had only to turn his thin edge to the wind carefully, a little at a time, so that it did not hold him, and then he would slip gracefully down towards the earth again. Arthur let out all the string, and Stanley soared high above the trees, a beautiful sight in his red shirt and blue trousers against the pale blue sky. Everyone in the park stood still to watch. Stanley swooped right and then left in long matched swoops. He held his arms by his sides and zoomed at the ground like a rocket and curved up again towards the sun. He side-slipped and circled and made figure eights and crosses and a star. Nobody has ever flown the way that Stanley Lambchop flew that day. Probably no one ever will again. After a while, of course, people grew tired of watching, and Arthur got tired of running about with an empty spool. Stanley went right on, though, showing off. 3 boys came up to Arthur and invited him to join them for a hot dog and some soda pop. Arthur left the spool wedged in the fork of a tree. He did not notice, while he was eating the hot dog, that the wind was blowing the string and it tangled it about in the tree. The string got shorter and shorter. Stanley did not realize how low he was until the leaves brushed his feet, and then it was too late. He got stuck in the branches. 15 minutes passed before Arthur and the other boys heard his cries and climbed up to set him free. Stanley would not speak to his brother that evening, and at bedtime, even though Arthur had apologized, he was still cross. Alone with Mr. Lambchop in the living room, Mrs. Lambchop sighed and shook her head. You're at the office all day having fun, she said. You don't realise what I go through with these boys. They are very difficult. Kids are like that, Mr. Lambchop said. Phases. Be patient, dear. So that is the end of that chapter 3. Okay. Hopefully you enjoyed reading that one. Okay. Tomorrow then, last session of the week, we are going to be looking at using our sequence skills, okay, and reflecting back on what has happened in chapter 3. Okay. I look forward to seeing you then, and I'll speak to you all soon. Bye, everyone.